The annual Human Rights Festival returns to Constitution Hill in Braamfontein. That's from the 21st to the 24th of March. Each year, the festival seeks to engage multilateral discussions around South African human rights between the public, thought leaders, civil society, artists and organizations. Now this year, the four-day festival will include various panel talks, art exhibitions, live performances and film festivals. To tell us more about some of the expectations, we're joined by Head of Heritage Education and Public Programs at Constitution Hill, Reuben Phasha. A very good morning to you. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika.
Good morning and thank you for having us.
It's an exciting year as we just take a look at what South Africa is going through. As you and I speak, in a few weeks' time, as you count down the weeks, South Africans will be heading to the polls on the 29th of May. And we also, it's an election year. It coincides with 30 years of democracy. When it comes to the stakes of this festival and some of the expectations, what are we looking at? We
want every South African to wake up and remember what South Africans did in 1983 when UDF was formed, to wake up and echo the spirit of South Africans who responded to the first constitution in South Africa that was done in the UK, and it was done in 1909. UK Parliament deciding what South African constitution and South Africa, how it must be run, excluding the majority of South Africans. How did they respond? They formed political parties. They did defiance campaigns. How did South African government respond? In 1948, they made the apartheid laws official. Then it was followed by the Sharpeville massacres in the 1960s. But how did the South African government respond with the third constitution that excluded women voting, which was a 1960 constitution?
Yeah.
And then it continued. The UDF was then formed in 1983, but before that we will know that there was a 1976 protest.
Yes.
And in the same year, 1983, the South African government did a tricameral constitution, which included the coloureds, the Indians, and the whites, and excluded the majority of black people. And then we moved to 1993, where we have the current constitution. So in all these events, South Africans responded with activism, public participation. They had defiance campaigns. But South Africans of today are happy to let the select few that they have put forward in government to run their country without help and to fold our hands and say, it's okay. There's a lady I checked called Maria. She was born before 1914. She's the oldest person in the world registered in the World Guinness Book of Records. She has lived through all these events, through World War I in 1930s to World War II in 1948. And she has seen the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. This Human Rights Festival in South Africa is one of, I think it's the only one we have in South Africa. And you can check, only one we have in Africa as a whole, is going to observe the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Bill of Rights that were inspired by the Freedom Charter in 1956 is going to observe and commemorate the Sharpeville massacre that we are talking about. It brings a multitude of, I think, about 80 human rights organizations, social justice organizations. Remember, they work in silos. You have Greenpeace thinking about and working about environmental issues in silos. Human Rights Commission litigates against human rights issues, but no one hears about these things.
So with all the observations and the significance, I mean, you've painted a nice picture of where it all comes from, the history of it. But the observations will be displayed through panel talks, art exhibitions, live performances, all of that resonating with the message of the significance of this year's festival. Who is on the lineup insofar as the live performances are concerned, as well as the films that will be showcased?
Okay, I'm just going to round up my context quickly. So the Human Rights Festival theme this year is called Seize the Power, because the world is experiencing conflict in Ukraine, conflict in Israel, we're going to look at the whole concept of international solidarity. So the format of the festival is very simple. We have what we call the social forum. These are multiple venues on site at Constitution Hill in Johannesburg. And in this way, multitudes of debates and panel discussions are going to have. Those are 80 human rights social justice organizations that I spoke about, Amnesty International, we have Brand SA. They will be coordinating discussions and dialogues that are focusing on key topical issues. For instance, on the 21st of March, the Human Rights Day, we'll be looking at the impact of the ICJ case, South Africa demonstrating intellectual solidarity in Palestine, how that is reflected. Then we have the We the People SA, who's going to be looking at the 30 years of democracy, how they're looking back. And then to support the dialogues and whatnot, we have what we call the activism role. This is like an expo. This is where you can come see all these human rights organizations, the space where you can make a pact with them, collaborate with them. They collaborate with each other. We are stopping the silos. And then to support that program, we have a performance art program which includes poetry, which includes theater and all this performance art. And then we also have another supporting program, which is film, that we spoke about. So we are launching the films on the 20th. So that's where we are now having, we just managed to secure a film, Sharpeville. And then this film festival is curated by Mabatu Monzu. And then we went to her because she's a female filmmaker. We also are supported by High Commission of Canada. And then they're supporting female filmmakers, led by one of our filmmakers, Mbalingwenya. And there's going to be multiple of discussions. So I can make you a simple example. You can expect to, when we're dealing with an issue, let's say silicosis, for example, you will see an exhibition, visual art exhibition on silicosis, a film on silicosis. You will have a dialogue on silicosis. And then we have briefed our musicians. And this is going to be a fun festival, not just educational. We have briefed our...
Educational in a fun way.
In a fun way,
as you as you break down the topic, really just broadening the understanding to different audiences. In a fun way. For a music lineup, we have Mpho Larapiko. We know that they are well known for their socialism, and this is like synonymous to the role of the arts that has played in social change and activism throughout the years. We are bringing that across. And Constitution Hill as a museum that is a home of the Concord, and that's the highest court in the world, but with art. It's saying we are not just serious about social justice issues, but we bring art to educate, as a vehicle to educate. So in this festival, you'll find a whole multitude of those, from the makers market, people who are doing crafting, from food, from fashion, and from the age of 0 to the oldest person. Who are you aiming this for? And some of the details in terms of accessing the venue, the tickets, and the preparation, because 4 days will go by very quickly and people wouldn't want to miss out on this.
This is a public weekend, holiday weekend. If you don't have any plans, if you don't have a budget for any plans, we have created plans for you free of charge. This festival is aimed at every South African. If you are getting spam calls and you don't know how to report the spam calls, and then you are used to that abuse. Let's say, for instance, you go to a hospital, you see a doctor after that, and then you get medical aid calls, insurance calls. But you don't know who sold your information. Where do you report people like that? Come learn. If you are getting, you're tired of getting bad service, you are consumer rights, come. It's festival for me and you. Everybody is welcome. The children are going to have their full children's village. It's a full family day. We have safe parking. You can come with your whole family. You don't have to worry about your kids. You can have fun while they're being looked after by childminders, going through educational programs, a simple thing for children. For 8 years old, it's a children's court. They dress up like judges and advocates and whatnot. They will be having fun while they're learning. They don't even know it. You as an adult, you can enjoy music, you can enjoy exhibitions, you can enjoy poetry, you can engage with this human rights institution, legal aids, it's a multitude. You go to www.humanrights festival.co.za, or you can visit Constitution Hill on our social media page, Facebook, and then every day we post all these different programs that we're going to run for this festival.
It sounds like a lot of excitement, a multitude of empowering tools. Thank you so much for talking to us there and giving us a sense of what we can expect. Of course, a 4-day festival from the 21st of March to the 24th of March, ahead of heritage education and public programs at Constitution Hill. Reuben Phasha giving us a sense of the education as well as understanding of human rights.